Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the political deep dive this evening. Tonight is a best of episode. I spent the entire weekend at the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania's convention, and I'm a little tired, a little, you can tell my voice is a little deep. I've been talking a lot, so I decided to let Ashley Shade talk. We had a great episode on Valentine's Day this year, talking about the language of love in politics. So, without further ado, I'm going to replay that episode, and I'm going to be in chat. So, if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything like that, please feel free to pop us up on there. Did I leave my? Oh, hey, good afternoon, Nelly. All right, so let's pop the episode on. Hey, good evening, everybody. Dave Valente here for the Political Deep Dive. Thank you for joining us for episode number 8, The Message of Love in Politics. Before I bring my guest on, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're talking about tonight. We all know that in the current political climate that the message of fear, the message of hate, the message of otherism has really taken hold. And in fact, we've seen it on display this week, and I'm sure you guys have seen these videos ad nauseum. But let's take a look at some of the rhetoric we're seeing here.
The steal. Today, I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Yeah. Take the Capitol. Take the Capitol. Take the Capitol. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction.
And it's not just on the GOP side, and I know that I'll get accused of whataboutism, but the impeachment lawyers for Trump did put out a decent video about what is going on the left side. We've seen it over the last 4 years as well. So take a look at that.
Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
So we're in a very heated, emotional moment in American politics. We just had the impeachment of Donald Trump that led to an acquittal. So we're again at a point in history that we've really just seen this heated rhetoric get to a level that it frustrates, the average citizen. You're tired of seeing, having fear played upon and having your, being treated as an other when you don't have the same opinion as someone else. So tonight's episode, we're talking about the message of love in politics and how can that heal the divide of what we've got going on in our country. And my guest tonight is Miss Ashley Shade. Hi, Ashley. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy Valentine's Day, David.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. So how does the political message of love? Well, actually, first, let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about you, what you do, what roles you have within the Libertarian Party and within your community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So my name is Ashley Shade. I am known as the Goddess Ashley in the libertarian circles, and I am the chairwoman of Outright Libertarians. I am the education director of the Vermont Supreme Institute. I am a county affiliate here, the chair of the Berkshire County Libertarian Party here in my home county. And I'm also involved in many things outside of the party. I am on the Human Services Commission for the City of North Adams, and I'm also part of a working group for inclusivity, diversity, equity, and access training. Um, I also serve on a nonprofit board of directors, the Berkshire Stonewall Community Coalition, which is the longest serving LGBTQ nonprofit organization in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, where I live. And I am a candidate for North Adams City Council. So
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to get into your council run here in a little bit, but
yes,
let's talk about the message. How do you integrate the message of love within your political message?
yeah, absolutely. So my political message is all about three things. It's about compassion, education, and love. And so the first thing we have to do is connect with people. If we want to bring people to liberty, if we want to bring people to our way of thinking, if we want to convince people that liberty is the right choice politically, then we have to be compassionate. We have to be willing to listen to what other people are saying and have difficult conversations without getting personally invested in calling them names because we don't agree with them, without insulting them purposefully because we don't agree with them, but actually taking the time to have the conversations and talk about the issues that we all face together. And it's really important to bring that humanity back into the conversation. We need to treat all people like human beings because what's happening right now is we're all being dehumanized. It's left versus right. It's this idea versus that idea. Well, your ideas are so terrible that, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. And so what's happened is we've created a political system based on fear and hatred and anger. And that kind of system has led to the worst political candidates we could ever have in our nation. We have the worst presidential candidates we have for the past, God, how many years? Our Congress is terrible. Their approval rating is lower than Trump's. And so let's be honest. We keep getting and picking the lesser of two evils because we believe somebody with a different opinion is so terrible that they're going to destroy the our lives, that they're going to destroy everything that we are. But in reality, when we think about everybody as being evil and we think about everyone and start thinking of anyone with a different opinion as the enemy, we dehumanize them. And it makes it so easy to get steadfast in standing in there and just feeling hatred and anger. And so we need to stop that. We need to start talking about actual political issues. We need to start working together as communities to solve our own problems. And we need to start humanizing each other and sharing love. You don't have to like someone to do something nice and kind for people. You don't have to like someone to go donate to somebody whose house burnt down in a fire in your neighborhood. You don't have to like people to go out and go donate to a homeless shelter or help feed people or help hand out supplies to people in need. You don't have to like a particular person to do the right thing. You just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And those are all acts of love, being involved in your community, showing people that you care and just doing it because it's the right thing to do. Being kind is an act of love, and we need more kindness in this world of politics.
Absolutely. So, I've always said that when you treat politics as a zero-sum game, you're always rewarded with the sum of zero.
Correct.
You can't make politics. You can't. Politics to me is not a game. It's about human lives. How much do you want the government to interfere in your life? And for us, of course, we are minimalists when it comes to government interference. But that person on the other side who really wants more government interference, they bleed just like us. They are, they're human. They have needs. They have families that they want to look at. They come to it with a very heartfelt position that shouldn't be completely dismissed without a reasoned argument, without talking to them, without understanding where they're coming from. I think our vice presidential candidate last time, Spike Cohen, was excellent about that point, that meet them where they are, understand what their issues are, and then provide them a way forward that benefits both sides, because they're allowed to choose their own way. So, but let's take a look at it from a different perspective. And I know people would, in the current political climate, are like, well, that's kind of a Pollyannish view of it. Politics is a knockdown drag out. There's so much involved. If they win, I lose. What would you say to those people?
Well, for me, there's two types of politics. There's politics that are about controlling people's lives, and there's politics about finding solutions to problems. The politics about controlling people's lives need to end. All of these legislation that's about controlling human lives, about putting people in their places, about telling them how they should live their lives, that stuff needs to end on all sides of the political spectrum. It has to stop. What politics is supposed to be is a negotiation on how to help your community, how to help your society. It's not supposed to be about human rights and what human dignity is. And so if you bring human rights or natural born rights into a political stance, you're harming a large group of people or a small group of people, but you're causing harm. And the goal should never be to cause harm. So what would I say to those people? Well, I would say this. I am a transgender woman, and I've run for office before. I've been involved in politics for some time, and I unfortunately get a lot of hate messages and people who don't like me just because I am who I am. And to those people, I just hope they find peace. I hope that they're able to one day learn that I'm just another human being like they are, that I'm just trying to live my life, that I'm just trying to do what's best for me and my family and the people that I care about. And I hope that one day they find peace of their own in their own hearts, that one day they're not my enemy. I may be their enemy, but nobody is my enemy. I don't view human beings as enemies. I view human beings as people. And people are not born to hate. People learn how to hate. And so if they can learn how to hate, that means we can teach them how to love. We can teach them how to have compassion. We can teach them to do better. And sometimes the only way to teach them is to show them how, by being loving and caring ourselves. And in some situations, it's very hard. When somebody's being very toxic to you, when somebody's attacking you directly, you don't have to stand there and try to love that person at that time. I walk away from those conversations every day. But at the end of the day, I don't think of them as the absolute worst thing in the world. I don't consider them my enemy. They're not allowed to rent space in my head, right? They're not allowed to live in my heart and in my head. I don't allow that. And so when we talk about finding liberty and in the road to liberty, anger, resentment, hatred, those feelings shackle us. And as long as we're shackled, we're not free. And therefore, we can't even experience our own liberty. So we have to free ourselves. And we free ourselves through love. And that's how we truly find our path to liberty and freedom. And as we show people how to free themselves through kindness and teaching people and educating and through love, we eventually find our way into a better society for everyone. And that's what it's really all about.
That's awesome. So we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, please feel free to drop us a question. We'll be happy to answer that on the air. So let's talk a little bit about your current run for North Adams City Council. How are you integrating that message into that run right now?
Yeah, so it's one of the main parts of our run. It's the main message that I'm running on. It's about being compassionate to the people in our community. We may not agree on issues, but we need to be able to work together to have a better community for everybody. We need to be able to have the conversations. We need to be able to talk about issues that affect the people of North Adams. And we have to be able to listen to people first. If you take the time to listen to somebody who disagrees with you and then say, you made some points, and I understand where you're coming from, but there might be another better way. Let's look at this other opportunity together. If you can talk to people in that way, you can bring them closer to learning. And then as they learn, their view changes and they say, oh, that's actually a really great point. I never thought of it that way. That actually works really well. And that's how we bring people to liberty. That's how we bring people to that new view, that view of being free and having less government control over our lives. We have to lead them there.
Mhm.
We can't yell at them to get there. We can't tell them they're wrong because they're not there. The only way to bring people to that level is to lead and teach them there. And if you're hostile towards them, they're not going to follow you. They're not going to go down that path. They're going to see that path as harm. And it is if you're being obnoxious and you're trying to yell at them. And so it's really important to spread our message with kindness and to say, look, I understand why you might feel that way. Your life experiences have shaped your point of view. I totally understand that. But have you ever looked at it from this point of view? Have you ever seen it from this angle? And as we teach them how to view the lens of liberty from a different angle, they view it in a much clearer light. And then all of a sudden that light bulb hits and they're like, wow, you're right. We do need less government here. We do need less police intervention in our cities. We do need less government mandates. We do need government to allow us to live our lives. That is so important to who we are as people. If free will was good enough for God, it should be good enough for us to allow everyone else to have free will, to live their lives how they choose, as long as they're not hurting others, to be able to love whomever they want to love, to be who they are authentically without judgment or caring that they are who they are. Those are natural things, natural rights that come from birth, from the universe, from just existing. And everybody should be allowed to have them and be them. As long as they're not hurting anybody else, you should have the right to do whatever you want as a human being. And the ultimate form of love is to say, I trust you enough to live your life. I trust you enough to make the right decisions in your life. That is the ultimate form of love.
Absolutely. Adam Sekasan says, I agree the online liberty community is toxic. We need to be lead by example by not being pretentious and belittling people. And I completely agree. There are far too many people, and it tends to be the loudest voices that are the belittling, you're an idiot because you're not a 100 by 100 libertarian, and it turns so many people off. And whenever I say, what, in my state, when I'm talking to legislators, I'm like, I'm willing to work with a Democrat or a Republican. If there's an issue that we are in alignment on, why not work with them? Why not identify areas where we can remove government and create a freer state? And it seems like this kind of, how dare you? You're dealing with Democrats and Republicans, and there are great people on the Democratic side. There are great people on the Republican side that are willing to work with us to reduce the size and scope of government. It's just finding those people and working with them and being an honest broker. And but I've caught so much hell just for doing that. But it's really I've found more success because I'm willing to meet them where they are, talk to them, not belittle them, not berate them. Sometimes when they do dumb things, you point it out, but you have to move on. The only thing that I I don't tolerate is hate. You know, when people
Correct.
push out hate, I do get a little heated on it. So I mean, that's my unfortunately that's my style, and maybe I fall short in that. But to me, I can't let that stand.
No, and it's important to call out bad behaviors. It's important to call out harm. It is important, and hatred causes harm. When people advocate against a group of people for just existing, when people advocate against a group of people just for living their lives, like that causes direct harm to them. That needs to be called out. We need people to step up and say that's not okay. That's definitely not libertarian to try to cause a group of people harm because they live their lives differently. Like that's just not okay. It needs to be called out. And there's a difference between people actively trying to cause harm and be full of hatred and vile. And there's a different group of people who tend to just be ignorant and not understand. And it's the people who are ignorant and don't understand who eventually, as they meet people who are different, as they have conversations with people who are different, as they have the opportunity to see that people who are different are also human beings, they tend to come around to our side and become allies. And it's so important for us to build new allies in our communities. It's so important for us to show them that we're all human too. And you're not going to reach everybody.
Yeah.
That would be impossible. You'll never reach everybody. But every one single person that you reach is another step towards the right direction. And that's what our goal is. And so in North Adams, our goal, my goal as a campaign is to teach people about compassion, educate them on the issues, have conversations, listen to the people, find solutions that are liberty driven, and teach my community that liberty driven solutions are the answer, and to display love to the people in my community. Two of the biggest issues we have here in North Adams are economic development and mental health. We have a huge mental health crisis everywhere in this country right now. But access out where I live is very difficult. We are in a valley. We are surrounded by mountains. We're about at least an hour away from a major city. The closest one is Albany, New York. And so we have a lack of mental health resources and healthcare resources. So where do we find solutions? Well, it's not through government. It's through less regulation. It's through promoting telehealth. It's through recruiting providers to come to our area. It's through recruiting providers to allow our residents telehealth methods to get the help they need. Same thing with economic development. We don't have to give businesses anything to come here. We can sell our city on what it is, and it's an amazing city. We are 3 hours away from New York and Boston. We have an extremely low cost of living, which means that when your workforce comes here, they're going to need to pay a heck of a lot less than they would living out in Boston or New York. And we are in the most beautiful region in Massachusetts. And in the fall, the foliage here is second to none anywhere in the country or the world. It's an absolutely beautiful place. We have lots of tourism, we have lots of arts and culture that's been built up over the years, and we're the perfect spot for a startup or technology or biotech to come in, make a home in one of our beautiful mill buildings that have been vacant for years, and be a part of our community. We have two world-class universities right here in our backyard, Williams College and the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts. We have a technical vocational high school, so we can train your workforce for what you need. We have the community partners, we have the community here. Come be a part of it. And just by being that ambassador and selling that to businesses and recruiting them here, we don't need to give them tax breaks to come here. We don't need to give them, I mean, we shouldn't have taxes at all, but we don't need to beg corporations to come here.
Yeah, I mean,
We
we have the same thing in West Virginia. They're begging corporations to come here. They give them tax breaks, and basically all you're doing is creating two classes of businesses in your area: the ones that have organically grown there, and serve the community and serve the community for years. And then you have a business that comes in, exists until the tax break wears off. And if they can negotiate an extension on the tax break, they'll stay. If not, they're out the door to the next county that gives them
Yeah.
a tax break. So
No,
it's
we've
not
learned our lesson on that. Our area was devastated. Our economy has been still recovering. North Adams is a big mill in a manufacturing city. And the last big company we had here was Sprague Electric back in the 80s. And when they left in the 80s, our economy tanked. And then our neighboring sister city, Pittsfield, which is the biggest city in the county, had General Electric's plastic division here. And when General Electric left in the early 90s, and we left our two biggest, we lost our two biggest job providers, it destroyed our economy for the entire Berkshires. And thousands of people were affected. And so we know that just bringing in one corporation to do it all is not the end all be all. It's not the goal. The goal is to have multiple businesses here. It's to spread it. It's to have a bunch of business come in and be welcome to our community. We want all of them to come be a part of what we're building. And we don't want just the big businesses. We want small businesses. We want innovation. We want anything who wants to be a part of our community and contribute to the community at large. And again, we can sell ourselves as a great place to be. We're right in the middle of where you would want to be, with the lower cost of living for your employees to have a better quality of life. We have great schools, we have great houses, so we have so much of a built-in advantage already. It's just about marketing it and selling it and saying, hey, come be a part of what we're doing, because it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've described the areas, the Berkshires. So you're on Western Mass. You're closer to Albany, so you're pretty close to the New York border.
Yeah, we're about 15 minutes away from both New York and Vermont.
Oh, okay.
So we're right up in the corner. Yeah.
Okay. So economic development and mental health. Adam Sekosian dropped another line saying one good thing about the pandemic is that moved telehealth services into the real world. And that, we can talk a little bit about the pandemic because it has changed a lot of different things. The idea that, you can look at maybe attracting a remote workforce, remote workers that are based out of Boston or based out of New York can be in your community, live in your community and support your community. But they're making New York salary, they're making Boston salary. So, I mean, you could, that's definitely something that we're looking at here in West Virginia. I don't know how successful we'll be, but this is something that the states that are going to be successful are the ones that really kind of go after this kind of market. So, but yeah, the pandemic has changed a lot of things. How we do our, it's going to change how we do our schooling. It's going to change how we do a lot of things going forward. And it's scary to think about what all can change, but I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think that this could be a very innovative time, especially in the field of education, for changes. So I've got the if you're watching, well, of course you're watching, you're on this, but I'll be making this a podcast later. So Ashley Shade for North Adams City Council. Her website is ashleyshade.com. So go ahead and check that out. We also have her Facebook page, and that is facebook.com Ashley Shade or A Shade for Office. So, and you said that all of your social media is A Shade for Office. So if you're on TikTok, Instagram,
Twitter, and Facebook, and that's A Shade for the number 4 office. So you can find that on Facebook. You'll find our page there. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and we have a TikTok coming up. So very exciting stuff. We'll have a full social media presence wherever we can to spread the message of love, to spread liberty. And our campaign tagline is simple: that love is the brightest flame of liberty, because it truly is. Love is the flame that lights the way to freedom. And as we learn to love instead of hate, we release our own shackles and bonds and we become free.
Awesome. So tell me about your race. Do you have opponents yet, or is it a little too early for the opponents to be out?
We're in the early stages, so we don't actually even pull nomination papers until April.
Okay.
The race itself will be in November, so it's a regular November election. There are 9 seats. All of our city council seats are at large, and all of them are up every 2 years. So we have at least 9 seats open every 2 years. We usually have between 12 and 16 people who run. And if there's more than 16, we do have a preliminary in September to narrow it down.
Okay. Awesome.
So it's a very winnable, I'm very lucky. It's a winnable race for me. I ran in 2017. I had no team. I had no budget. I had no website. I just had a Facebook page. I participated in a candidate forum and I was able to do a couple of interviews. And I got 700 votes. And our win number is 1,700. Our target is 2,100. So we're playing blackjack. We want to hit 2,100.
That's awesome. So good. Glad you got your win number and all that stuff. So do you have you say you've got a team this time?
Yeah, I have a full team ready to go. We've got 7 to 8 local volunteers ready to door knock, sign wave, all the stuff locally. I've got a policy team in place. I've got a social media team in place. I have a campaign manager. We have our fully operational bank account. All of our social media and website is up. We are ready to go, and we're ready to go early. We want to come out of the gates kicking. As soon as we can pull nomination papers in April, the plan is to do so, and we will officially announce the campaign at that time. So that's when the press releases will go out, and we want to kick the ground running. Again, our win number is about 1,700 votes to finish in the top 9. 2,100 is our actual goal. We know that no candidate in the past ever has spent more than $2,000 to run for city council in North Adams, but we are hoping to raise $5,000 for this campaign. Because we'd like to take it to the next level. We'd like to be able to run radio and television ads along with getting mailers and flyers and getting our yard signs, because we know in this COVID era, we're going to need extra money to make those contacts, because around here, door knocking may not be feasible. We have a really high elderly population in our city. And so people are very much in this community. Keep your distance, keep your space. Like, it's very much a thing here, which is great. People are trying to be safe and take care of the other community members, but that make door knocking not viable. So we'll need some money to be able to do phone calls instead, and text banking, and to spread the word through advertising, through like radio and television. So that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to have that in place as well, to go with potential door knocking if we're able to do that. We'll get a feel for where we're at in the summertime and kind of plan from then. We'll see where the vaccine rollouts are, but this is a community where they take things really seriously with the health situation going on. And we've lost a fair amount of people in our county from the COVID situation. So with it being a higher elderly population, people are rightfully concerned. And so we want to make sure that all of our constituents stay safe and they feel safe, because we are, again, we want to keep everybody safe. So we're looking at a strategy for both doing some door knocking if it's available, and if not, being able to run advertisements to reach people.
That's awesome. I actually got to do door knocking in the age of COVID.
Yeah.
We had an LNC meeting up in Minneapolis. We went door knocking for a candidate named Chris Claviter, who's running for mayor.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant strategy. He had Post-it notes. So you could go to the door, you knocked on the door, and just put the little Post-it note as literature that they could leave on the door for however long they felt comfortable before bringing it in, or
Hmm.
if they weren't there. I thought that was probably one of the more brilliant tactics used for campaigning in that election. I really enjoyed that. So let's see. Saying hi to everybody on Facebook.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, thanks. And again, please feel free to give us comment. My sister, who's on the After Dark crew, will be going to After Dark at 9 o'clock. She loves seeing me. Thank you, Care Bear. And she really wants to talk with you because she is the mother of a trans daughter, and
Okay.
we'll definitely have questions. And her daughter is very politically active as well in the Albuquerque community. So she looks forward to doing that, to speaking with you. Let's talk about Outright Libertarians. You are the chair.
Yes.
And full disclosure, because I'm a monthly donor to Outright Libertarians, and back behind me you can see at very the top. There we go. Right here is the Outright Libertarian drag bod calendar. They did a dad bod calendar last year that sold very well, and we've got the drag bod calendar, which is awesome. You guys have got to get this thing. So tell me about your work with Outright Libertarians.
Yeah, so the drag bod calendar was actually done. The dad bod calendar was done by I believe the Libertarian Party of South Carolina, or one of the affiliates out there.
Okay.
And we kind of got the idea to do a drag calendar for Outright. So that's where the drag calendar came from. So we got a chance to do the calendar this year. But we're doing a lot of amazing things here with Outright Libertarians. And for those of you who don't know what Outright is, Outright Libertarians is the premier organization in the Libertarian Party. And our mission is to bridge the gap for gender and sexual minorities to the Libertarian Party. And one of our goals is to ensure and rise up the voices of GSM, or gender and sexual minorities people. It's our acronym that we use for LGBTQ. It's a lot less alphabet soup, and it's more inclusive. So we use GSM. But our goal is to raise the voice of GSM individuals, give them a profile to be able to have their voices heard and their ideas heard, but also to ensure that the GSM community and the issues that we face are a prominent part of the party and a prominent part of the platform, as they always have since our inception. They have been. And so we make sure we fight to keep those issues in the front line of our platform, to make sure that all GSM people, all LGBTQ people are welcome here. We give them a home to be welcome to. And we will raise our members, we will fight for our members. And so we've got several different projects going on right now. We have several committees within our organization. We have our outreach committee, which does all of our social media. We are starting to do blog posts to get more information out and kind of educate. And we're also going to be starting a newsletter very soon. So if you're interested, you can get more information on our website. Right now we have a temporary website up. Our website is under construction, but we have a temporary form up where you can sign up and kind of get on the list if you'd like to get on that. Mailing list for the newsletter. And then we also have our policy team, which is amazing. And they are currently doing some great work. We are currently looking at all of the platforms in the Libertarian Party from every state and from national, and looking at how they represent the GSM community. And we are looking to create language to make improvements to their platforms. And then we are taking that information to those states to help upgrade their platforms to be more GSM inclusive. We want everybody to be welcomed. We believe all the states should be welcomed, and we'd eventually like to make those upgrades at the national level as well. Also, our policy team is working on a candidate survey. We are a nonprofit organization. We are not an official caucus, so we do not endorse candidates, but we can give candidates a grade, and we'd be happy to do so. And so any candidates looking to get graded by Outright, we'll be creating a candidate survey that we're hoping will be available by the end of the year for November elections. And our survey will be comprehensive on GSM issues and GSM community values, and you'll be able to take the survey and get a grade from Outright. And then the third thing we are working on with our policy team is actual GSM policy that our party, that our people running for office could then implement for their own campaigns. Things like removing gender from identification. We don't want a gender X. Gender shouldn't be on your identification anyway. Nobody needs to know what's in your pants.
Yeah.
Pointless. It's just a form of discrimination. Your gender shouldn't be on your ID. Your gender shouldn't be on your passport. Why? Why does anybody need to know that? They don't. And so, we're looking at different policies that campaigns would be able to then implement themselves. We would be happy to train and teach anybody willing to listen about these issues and how they could use our policy to help improve their own GSM policy planks in their campaigns. And that's our goal. Those are the big projects we're working on now. We are currently also selling the Libertarian drag calendar. The drag calendar was a fundraising idea that we had. We had a lot of lovely people vying for being members, and we've got 12 beautiful models who won out and won their bids and got on the calendar. They did an amazing job. And we want you to buy that calendar. It's a beautiful, beautiful calendar. There's some names in there you'll recognize, like Furman Supreme, who was Miss January. We have members of the LNC, like Tucker Coburn. And we have our own fundraising director, Chase Oliver, and our treasurer, Tyler Smith, is also in the calendar.
Is in the After Dark crew, so he'll be on a little bit later. But I still feel that you guys missed an opportunity.
Shoulders down, my head up, my frame locked, stay on my toes. But will you love me?
I think I would have rocked.
Oh my!
I think I would have rocked the calendar, but
I think so. You can always come back for next year.
Next year, that's right. But yeah, the Tyler Smith is next month. But if you get the calendar, I will say check out. Well, first off, you missed January, and that's Furman. That was awesome. My favorite month is October, and Matt Hicks, Oktoberfest, Fraulein. It's a sight to behold. I loved it. But anyway, I will definitely get with you because we have our convention coming up a little less than 2 months away, and we do. I want you to take a look at our platform and make sure our bylaws, make sure that everything is inclusive in there, because we only have one opportunity to amend our bylaws every 2 years. So I want to be able to get that in ahead of time. Make sure
we would love to work with you to get that done. And another thing, Outright Libertarians, every month we actually hold a public forum for all of our members. So that public forum is the third Tuesday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern time, which actually means we are holding the public forum in 2 days, February 16th, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We hold that public forum on Zoom. And it's an opportunity to let our members know what projects we're working on, what the board is up to, what we're doing for the organization, to get your input and ideas, because the members are the ones who drive our organization. We work for you. So if you're a member, come to the public forum, talk to us about your ideas, come get involved. We'd love to have more people on our committees. There's lots of projects that we'd love to do that we don't have the manpower to do yet. So if we can get more people involved, we can do even more stuff, and we are doing an amazing job. The organization is growing every day. We have a lot of great goals for this year. And we look to have a representative from Outright at all of your conventions. So we want to make sure that there's somebody from Outright Libertarians representing in every single convention. And that is a big goal that we have, and we can't do that without your help. So if you're a member, please come to our public forum, come talk to us. If you're not a member, please go join. And you can join for free at the link below. As is being shown here on our temporary site. You can also become a dues paying member. And if you become a dues paying member of $30 or more annually, we will send you a beautiful Gaysden flag, which is a beautiful rainbow flag with the Gadsden snake and the Don't Tread on Me, because we can.
That's right. I love that flag. That is an excellent flag. One question I do have, and this is kind of split libertarians based on property rights, and I think that's one of the big splits that we have. And you know, how do you balance property rights versus human rights? And in West Virginia, we have a bill that's going to be put forward by a Republican member out of Huntington, Joshua Higginbotham. It's called the Fairness Act. It's been out there a couple of times, and this is banning discrimination against transgender in the state of West Virginia. What do you say to people who are angry about the property rights aspect of that kind of legislation?
I would say that libertarians believe that everybody should be able to live their lives how they choose, as long as they aren't hurting other people. And discrimination is harm. Discrimination hurts people. And so when it comes to anti-discrimination laws, I'm torn, because when a group is so marginalized by the society or community that they're in, sometimes you do need a law to help out, just to get over the hurdle. But laws are not the end all be all, and they can't be, because depending on who's in power, laws get changed and repealed all the time. And so when you try to force a law and say, well, you have to behave this way, now let's say that law gets repealed. Those people that were angry about the law and angry about being forced to comply are going to always be hostile towards that group of people. They're always going to be angry. They're always going to be hostile. But if we can potentially have a conversation with those people before we have to get to laws and say, look, I'm a human being too. I'm just trying to live my life, but just trying to do what's right for me as a human being. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to live my life and be me. Just want to go to the store and buy food, and you know, I just want to be able to work and provide for our families. When you get down into that kind of conversation, you start winning people over and you start transforming the society. And that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of work, and it takes people. So what we really need to have happen, and so, you know, in a place like West Virginia, maybe a law is necessary in a community to start somewhere when the most marginalized people are being completely left out of the society and not allowed to live their lives. That is harm. That is anti-libertarian. That is against our philosophy. We don't hurt other people just for being who they are. We don't hurt other people purposefully just because they live their lives differently. That's never okay. And so what we have to get to, though, is a point of education where people are like, well, you know, I don't understand, you know, I don't care if you don't like me. You can not like me. You can just say, I don't understand and I'll never understand. But as long as you're not actively trying to hurt me, we can live in the society together. You don't have to like me for that, and that's okay. I'd love for you to get to that point. But if we can get people past that point, and so they say, you know what, you're right. We shouldn't treat people that way. We should do what's right for all people. Everybody should be able to live their lives how they choose. And as we get to that point and win more and more people over and win over society and get from 20% support to 50% support, 60% support, 70% support, and as our allies stand up with us and for us, so we don't have to do it all ourselves, and they say, you can't treat that person that way just because they're different. That's not okay. That behavior is unacceptable in our society. That's not what we do here. That's not liberty. That's not freedom. It's harmful. It's hurtful. We don't do that. And when we get to that point in our society that more and more people will do that, we won't need the laws because the society will say no.
Yeah.
And we've started to get to that point now. In many places, society is saying, no, stop it. We are not going to accept people who are racist. We're not going to accept bigotry in our society. And if you're going to be a bigot, we're going to call you out on it. We're going to point out your bad behavior.
Yeah.
Because bigotry and racism are harmful. Homophobia and transphobia are harmful. Stop the hatred. Stop trying to hurt other people.
Absolutely. And we saw with this week with the Gina Carano issue. I think the disconnect is that people want free speech. Absolutely free speech, but you got to have responsibility. Your rights come with responsibilities.
You have the right to say anything you want without the government interfering. But
your boss can.
You have consequences for what you say. And people can choose to disassociate with you if they don't like what you say. Yeah. You have every right to say what you want, but you don't have the right to force people to listen to it. And if people don't agree with you, they're allowed to turn their backs and walk away.
Yeah, if you're costing
Disney, that's real freedom. And so Disney decided, hey, you're going to hurt our bottom line with what you're saying. We don't want you around anymore. They have the right to do that. Yeah, just like Amazon did with Parler. When Parler was taken off of Amazon servers, Amazon made it clear these are the rules, and you violated them. Yeah. And so you violated our rules. We're not going to keep you around. That's freedom of association. Freedom of speech does not mean not having consequences. Yep. Freedom of association is tied into freedom of speech. They are interconnected, and you can't have one without the other. You can't just force people to listen to whatever you want to say. Yeah. Anybody doesn't like what I say, they're going to turn off this message. So, you have that right to do so. But at the end of the day, what we should be about is helping each other, building a better society, changing the culture so we don't cause harm, so that we can all be free.
That is perfect. And we're getting kind of close to the end. Anything else you want us to know about yourself or want to talk about this evening?
Yeah, there are three things I want to end with, David. The first thing I want to end with is if you love this idea of compassion and education and love being a part of the political message, if you want to see more of this, if you want to see a campaign be run on this and be successful, go visit the website ashleyshade.com. Please make a donation if you'd like to support us. We'd love to have that. We're working hard. We're working towards a goal, and we have a great chance of success for me to be elected. But I need your help to do it. So if you're out there and you support, please go make a donation. We'd love to have your help. The second thing I want to say is that love is the brightest flame of freedom. And we don't get to that end of the road of freedom overnight. We don't get to the end of the road to liberty overnight. We have to lead people down the path towards liberty. And we do that with compassion, education, and love. And the third thing I want to say, and this is the most important, and I'm talking to every single one of you out there. Today is Valentine's Day, and not everybody had a date today, and that makes some people sad. But I want you to know I didn't have a date either. I never have a date. But it's okay. Even if you don't have a date on Valentine's Day, even if you spend the day alone, you're still valid, you still matter. You can celebrate love without being in love. You can celebrate love without a companion. And that's what Valentine's Day is supposed to be about, the celebration of love. And so if you're alone out there and you're listening, just know that you're amazing, that you are a valid person, even if you don't have a date, that you deserve to be loved, and you should be loved. And you're not alone. We're all here for you. So I just want you to know, if you're out there, happy Valentine's Day. I love you. And I hope you have an amazing night. And I do hope that you find the ability to celebrate love however it is that you believe in it.
You are an absolutely beautiful person, Ashley. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. And you're going to come on to the After Dark show with us. Carol will be joining us in a few minutes. Tyler, I hope, is online as well. You kind of stole my ending because you are loved wherever you're at in the ether that is the internet, and you're watching this, know you're loved. Know that we love you. You know, if you need me to say it to your face, ping me after this. Follow Ashley on Facebook because honestly, that's one of the best follows because she sends you random messages of love all the time, and it's just fantastic. It always brightens my day whenever I get them, and thank you so much for doing that. But thanks everyone who watched. Thanks for people who asked questions. My sister Kara, we'll see in a few minutes. Adam Sekasan, and all the people that have been watching. Ralph Galvin, Debbie Law, Izzy Ahmad, John Hayes, Mary Shelton. I'm missing some people. I apologize. Kathy Hedges Grove, Alexander McFadden de Benedetto, fellow Vazon, and Tim Todd, Doug Crawl, Terry Jerry Sanders. Thanks everyone who joined us this evening. Join us on the After Darks program here in a minute, and we'll talk to you in a few seconds. Take care, everybody.
you.
All right. Well, we'll repeat by mistake of last week, but thank you so much for everyone for tuning into our best of show today. Thanks to everyone who posted questions, even though this is a replay. Everyone really liked the idea of rebroadcasting this one because it was such a positive message. Ashley is such a positive person, and that message is very important and needs to be heard over and over again. So. Anyway, thank you for joining us. There's no After Dark show tonight. I'm going to take a little bit of a rest. We'll be back strong next week. Guests to be determined, but we'll have a good show, and then we'll have a good After Dark show. And some news will be coming over the week as we move on towards June. So look forward to talking to everybody next week, and everyone have a fantastic night.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Political Deep Dive. We air every Sunday night at 8 p.m. You can follow us on Facebook.com/The Political Deep Dive, all one word, on Twitter.com/Political Deep, on YouTube.com/Papaduke, PAPADUKE, and on Twitch.tv/The Political Deep Dive, all one word. On Monday, the audio of the previous night's episode is found on soundcloud.com/The Political Deep Dive, all one word. And you can join in on the fun on Instagram.com/The Political Deep Dive, all one word. Thanks to People for Liberty for their continued support at people4liberty.org and on Facebook.com/People4Liberty Inc. Give us a like and a share on whatever platform you are viewing us from. It helps us out, and we certainly appreciate the support. We look forward to seeing you Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.